Hello, another time, another story. In literature, you know about metaphors, similes, personification, etc. But how much do you know about paradox? What is a paradox? A paradox is a statement, a situation, a concept that contradicts itself. It defies common logic. It often reveals deeper truth. You see, like that conversation you have with your friend about anything, you go head to head. He really contradicts or opposes your opinion and later on says, I was just opposing for the sake of opposing. Now that's paradox. It means you are on the same side, but he just wanted to create some humor by trying to go the other side. Now, I'll go through a few examples of paradox or paradoxes so that you get to understand and enjoy, because this is something you can actually enjoy. I do personally. Let us look at the first example of a paradox. We can call it a social paradox. In society, you're told, be yourself. Be yourself. Don't copy. Don't imitate. Be yourself. Then, in being yourself, you take a squawky photo. You wear mismatched socks or share an unpopular opinion. And suddenly, the same people who are saying, be yourself, be authentic, now say, that's weird. Tone down. Try to fit in. So you try to fit in. And now you're not being yourself as you try to fit in. But if you're truly yourself, you risk being rejected for not fitting in. So it's a paradox of individuality versus conformity, where the call to be authentic is often followed by the subtle pressure to be acceptably authentic. Now that's the first example. The second one, we can call it a logical paradox. This logical paradox is called the hipster paradox. What is a hipster, or who is a hipster? A hipster is someone who avoids mainstream trends. That person who sits somewhere secluded, doesn't want to do what is popularly done by others. They are usually reclusive. Hipster. Now, a hipster is someone who avoids mainstream trend. But the twist is, if too many people become hipsters, then being a hipster becomes mainstream because it's now the popular thing that everyone is doing. And if being a hipster is mainstream, then hipsters must stop being hipsters. So the more people try to be non-conformists, the more they conform. It's a paradox of identity and trend, where trying to be different ends up making you the same. Number 3, we can call it veridical paradox. Veridical paradox. And the example that I have here is called the battered cat paradox. The battered cat paradox. Now, we know, and you probably know, that when you throw a cat, it always lands on its feet. Buttered toast is also said to land with the butter side facing down. So, what happens if you strap a piece of buttered toast with the butter side facing up to a cat's back and drop it? Now, according to the paradox, the cat will begin to fall, trying to land on its feet, while the toast tries to land with the butter side facing down. What is the result? The cat toast combo starts spinning mid-air, never landing, because each is competing that I always land facing down, and the cat also, I always land with my feet facing down. You see, when the cat lands with the feet facing down, it means the butter will land with the buttered side facing up, which never happens. So they'll start spinning, each competing to land facing down. Now this creates a perpetual motion machine. Of course, this is purely hypothetical, and we know they must actually land, and I tend to think that the cat will land with the feet facing down. Or should we say that the heavier one will land with either the feet facing down or the buttered side facing down, if at all it is heavier? Think of it. It is humorous anyway, but it cleverly plays on two widely accepted truths and turns them into a paradoxical loop. It's a great way to introduce learners, if you are teaching learners, on the logics of paradox. Paradox number 4. We can call it falsidical, from the word false. Falsidical paradox. Falsidical paradox. Falsidical paradox. Now, look at this. We want to prove that 1 is equal to 2. Is it possible? Let's do this. Get your pen and papers if you love math and try this. I'll walk you slowly on this. Let A equal B. Let A equal B. Then multiply both sides by A. So what do you get? You get A squared equals AB, because the first one was A is equal to B, and we are multiplying both sides by A. So A squared equals AB. Next, subtract B squared from both sides. If you subtract B squared from both sides, what do you get? You get A squared minus B squared equal to AB minus B squared. Repeat that. We have moved from A squared equals to AB to subtracting B squared from both sides. So A squared minus B squared, and then on the other side we have AB minus B squared. Now, on your left hand side, you have a difference between two squares, A and B. That is A squared minus B squared, which we can now factor as A plus B in their bracket into another bracket, A minus B. So A plus B a minus b on one side for a squared minus b squared. Then on the other side, where we have ab minus b squared, we take outside the bracket b, so that we have a minus b. Remember, it was ab minus b squared, so b into a minus b. Next, divide both sides by a minus b. If you divide both sides by a minus b, what you get is that in this other side where you had difference between two squares, we had one bracket a plus b and a minus b. So if you are dividing by that second factor there, then you are going to end up with the first factor remaining, which is a plus b on that side. On this other side, you also have a minus b inside bracket. So what does it become? It becomes b that was outside bracket. It was b into a minus b, which we have actually cancelled with our denominator, common denominator both sides. So what do we now have up to this point? Up to this point, we have a plus b equals b. Remember, our first statement was let a be b, or a equal b. But now we have reached a stage where a plus b on one side is equal to b on the other side. Don't ask me how we have brought b on this left hand side. Let's continue. Since a is equal to b from the first statement, substitute that particular statement so that we have b's alone. B is alone. A is equal to b. Now wherever I have a, I'll put b. So what in this particular case where I have a plus b, what do I have now? I have b plus b. And on the other side, I have a b. Now, what result do I end up with? I end up with 2b on one side and b on the other side. Now, we divide by the common factor here, when you look at the equation, we have an unknown both sides. We can divide by this so that we end up with 2 equals to 1. Because if you divide by b, b goes with b, you remain with 2, and on the other side you have b goes with b once, and you remain with 1. So voila, we have 2 equals to 1 or 1 equals to 2. Now that's paradoxical. How can 1 be 2? The trick actually comes in this particular step where we are dividing by a minus b, a minus b, a minus b. That's where the trick comes in. You see, a is equal to b, so a minus b is equal to 0. And in mathematics, we don't divide by 0. If you try it in your calculator, you'll get an error message. So we don't do it. It's don't do that. You'll get a math error, or is it syntax error? Yeah. So this is now what we call a falsidical paradox. You see, as we were solving, we did not really consider that if a is equal to b, a minus b would be a 0. So we went all the way in the correct way, presumably, only for us then to realize that a minus b is actually 0, and 0 is something we don't divide using. Falsidical error. Let's move to error Type 5, temporal error. Temporal error. Now, this example is a time-traveling banana problem. A banana that is time-traveling. Let's hear it. Imagine you are hungry. You travel back in time 5 minutes to steal a banana you are just about to eat. You were about to eat a banana 5 minutes ago, so you steal that banana now that you have traveled back in time. Now, in the present, you no longer have a banana because the banana was stolen 5 minutes ago. Because past you stole it, so you go back in time again to steal it from your past that stole it, because you want to own this banana, you know, you are hungry, yeah? So you go back to before it was stolen and you steal it. Now that means that the person trying to steal it 5 minutes ago cannot steal it because it no longer exists. But you see, you are hungry, yeah? So you don't want it lost. You want this banana. So for you to get it, you need to go back maybe 10 or 20 minutes back in time and steal it because it's there. So you steal it. And so when you get back to maybe 15 minutes back in time, you find that the banana is not there and you are hungry. The only way you can get this banana is to go back in time, like 30 minutes back, and steal it because it's there, yes. And before you eat it, you realize that, oh, somebody just stole it 30 minutes ago. So for you to get it, because you are hungry, you need to go like an hour back and steal it. And this stealing can go on and on and on. It's a humorous take on this act of stealing. Eventually, there's a loop of banana thefts with no original banana ever eaten. Just infinite versions of you chasing each other through time over one piece of fruit. Paradox number 7. We call it a catch-22 paradox. You remember catch-22? Now let's catch this 22 and see. This happens a lot in Kenya, everywhere. You are looking for a job. What do they need? Those papers, you can have them. But do you have experience? You don't. They need someone with experience. And you do not have experience, but you need experience. How do you get experience so that you qualify for this job? So you need experience to get a job, but you need a job to get experience. It's a loop that traps many young graduates and job seekers. Employers label roles as entry level, but then demand 2 to 3 years of experience. So how do you enter if the door requires you to have already been inside? This paradox is especially frustrating because it contradicts the purpose of entry-level roles. It discourages capable candidates who just need a chance. It reinforces inequality as only those with connections or unpaid internships break through. It's a textbook catch-22. The condition for solving the problem is blocked by the problem itself. Paradox number 8. Zeno's paradox. a lazy tortoise, or is it a lazy tortoise, or do you refer to it as a lazy tortoise? Whatever you consider appropriate. So imagine a tortoise wants to reach the fridge, but before it gets there, it must first reach halfway the distance. If this is the distance, it must get somewhere here first. And before that, before it gets halfway, from this point, before it gets halfway, it needs to get halfway of this halfway, yeah? And before it gets halfway of that halfway, it needs to get this other halfway, and another halfway, and another halfway. Do you get what I'm saying? So what we are saying here is you need to get somewhere 10 kilometers away, but before you get there, really, you know very well you must cover 5 kilometers. But before you cover that 5 kilometers, you need to cover 2.5 kilometers. But before you cover 2.5, you need to cover 1.25 kilometers. Before you cover 1.25 kilometers, you need to cover 0.75 kilometers, and it goes on and on. Yeah, 625, I think. So what we are talking about here is it does not end, and eventually the tortoise, which is lazy, after doing a lot of calculations, halving each of these, yeah, like the decay you did in physics or in chemistry, it decides there are infinitely many halfway points to cross. Too long. That sounds too long. So then the tortoise, I'll never reach the fridge if I have to get through all those many halves, you know. So what do? I might just take a nap. If Zeno's paradox it's Zeno's paradox in action, motion seems impossible because there are infinitely many halfway points to cross, but in reality we do not reach destinations just like tortoise eventually gets its snack after a nap, of course. Yeah, so it's just lazy. When it is really hungry, it will not consider the halfway points, but because probably it has something, it makes a lot of considerations, and it's like yeah. So that is procrastination, how it happens. When you have something you feel like I really don't need it, and to get it really I'll have to struggle, so let me let it go. Next, paradox number 9. We can call it the paradox of value, and I like this because it's a bit funny. Now, you are starving. You go to a place where they sell French fries. You know lots of them. Pick one. You walk in and you see A, a gourmet truffle fry, and you see B, regular fries. A gourmet truffle fry and regular fry. This hard-worded fry goes for $30. This regular fry goes for $3. Because you have some bucks, you say, I'll go for this $30 fry. It must be, yeah. You order it. They arrive in a tiny bowl with only 6 fries in it, arranged like modern art, yeah, beautification, beauty and all that. Now, meanwhile, the $3 fries next to you are golden, crispy, and overflowing. So you paid 10 times more for regular for something that for something that is actually 10 times less in terms of quantity. Yeah, there are only 3. A few pieces, they are arranged, and you've paid for $30. The other one is overflowing, and you know how it tastes, and you normally like it, you normally do it, but because you saw some nice name, you are like, no, this is the real deal. Now you're getting disappointed, and you are getting disappointed when you have paid 10 times for 10 times less. Oh my goodness. So the rare, elevated, and exclusive name and title makes you go for it. This is the paradox of value. The most useful and satisfying item, which is the regular fries that you normally take, is often cheaper than the valuable one gourmet fries, which may be less practical but priced higher due to perception, branding, and scarcity. It's a great way to teach you, me, and everybody else about economic irrationality, marketing psychology, or even spiritual discernment. What truly satisfies versus what merely looks valuable. I told you I like that. Next, the paradox of choice. After paradox of value. Now let's do some ice cream now. You walk into another shop. This time round, you are craving for ice cream. They have 3 flavors: vanilla, chocolate, strawberry. Easy. You pick chocolate because you like that. The next day, you return. Now they have 31 flavors. 31 flavors. You spend 20 minutes agonizing between salted caramel, mango swirl, pistachio fudge, and lavender honey, etc., etc. You finally pick one, and immediately you regret it. Maybe I should have gone with the bourbon pecan ripple. More options were supposed to make you happier. Instead, they made you anxious, indecisive, and less satisfied. This is the paradox of choice. The more options we have, the harder it is to choose, and the less happy we are with what we choose. Great for teaching you and me and anybody else about decision making, contentment, and even sermon reflection on simplicity. Now, I have 2 more paradoxes. Let's start with emotional paradox. I am laughing so hard, I am crying. Ha ha ha, until tears. You are watching a comedy sketch. It's hilarious. You're doubled over, gasping for breath, and suddenly tears stream down your face. Wait, are you sad? No, you're just happy. It hurts. This is a classic emotional paradox. Just joy triggering a physical response usually associated with sorrow. It's like your body gets confused and says, I don't know what's happening, but let's leak from your eyes just in case it's painful. It's a great way to show how emotions aren't always neatly categorized. Laughter and tears can coexist, sometimes in the same moment, sometimes in the same church pew. Lastly, let's go biblical. the biblical paradox. Jesus in Matthew 19 verse 24 says, "It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God." Now picture it literally. A camel with humps, with hooves and all, trying to squeeze through a sewing needle. It's like watching a giraffe trying to crawl under your table or under your bed. It's absurd, exaggerated, and hilarious when visualized. But the paradox carries deep truth, you know. What seems impossible for man is possible with God, which is also another verse in Matthew chapter 19, specifically verse 26. It's a divine twist, using humor and hyperbole to teach humility and dependence. I believe you now know a lot about paradoxes or paradox, opposing sides.